Pop rock, rap, and R&B? Are you interested in catching up on what's trending in the world of sports and around the area? Well, tune into the Jetfish Show starring Joey Jeffrey Fridays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern on WNIA. It'll be a fun and exciting hour with Joey and the rest of the gang. That's the Jetfish Show Fridays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern on WNIA, Niagara University's Mix and More Radio.
Footer for Ennis. He got it! He got it! We're Clemson in Pittsburgh! You believe in miracles?
The Bills make me wanna. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
This is the Jube Alert on WNIA Radio. Here are your hosts, Greg Jube and Kyle Barker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, September 28th, 2015, and this is show number 3 of the Jube Alert here from live at the Gallagher Center here at Niagara University on WNIA Radio. I am Greg Jubert once again for the Jube Alert, alongside, once again, Mr. Kyle Barker.
Mr. Greg Jubert, how are you today?
Doing all right. Nice off a Bills win. I know you had a fun weekend. We're going to touch up on that. A little bit of fun at the Carrier Dome this weekend.
More like lots of fun at the Carrier Dome.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get to that, all the fun and excitement of Syracuse and LSU. But first, let's talk about the big story of the day. Yesterday, Steelers went to St. Louis, faced the Rams. The turf caught on fire, first of all. That was pretty interesting to watch that. Somebody's probably going to get fired for that. But Steelers played the Rams yesterday. For the most part, it was a pretty quiet game until Ben Roethlisberger went down with a leg injury, had to be carted off the field. Michael Vick came in as the backup, and the Steelers went ahead and won 12-6. Le'Veon Bell with a 1-yard touchdown, the lone touchdown for either team. So now you look at, according to Adam Schefter, Ben Roethlisberger is being listed as being out 4 to 6 weeks. That's a long time, including the fact that they have a game this Thursday night at home against Baltimore. It's kind of a big deal, really. So, obviously, this isn't the first time Big Ben's been gone. But what are your thoughts on, Michael Vick's just got into the system a couple weeks ago. Landry Jones is going to be listed as the backup right now. He's the only other quarterback on the active roster. So, you look at going forward, 4 to 6 weeks is a long time, and the Bengals are a very good team at 3-0 already. What are the Steelers' goals? Is it just stay? Obviously, it's to win every game, but do you just stay with it? Do you try to go 500 till he comes back? There's no definitive timetable. I know he's going for another opinion today, but this is kind of a big deal for the Steelers, a team that really defensively is young and up and coming, and emphasizes and focuses a lot of its attention on the offense.
Well, I think it's obviously a loss for the Steelers, but I think Michael Vick is more than capable of bringing them to at least a 500 record. I don't think they're going to have a losing record in the time that Ben Roethlisberger's out. Vick's a very capable quarterback. He's a much different quarterback than Big Ben. Big Ben's not going to run at all, and Michael Vick is obviously going to be able to run if he gets pressures outside of the pocket. I think it brings a new and different element to that Pittsburgh team that's fairly good as it is right now. I think it's going to be actually a more exciting team to watch with Vick at the quarterback helm right now.
Well, here's the thing, too, is, Big Ben doesn't really necessarily get injured. He's been pretty good at playing through pain, but it's kind of just like, it seems like an every year topic that we have to talk about the Steelers' O-line being a little iffy, not being fully strong, not giving Ben maybe the most amount of time. So if it's a problem for Big Ben, guess what? It's going to be a big-time problem for Michael Vick. You're looking at a guy who, to this point, has only played one full season, one full 16-game season without ending up, injured. So, I mean, that's a huge factor. So Landry Jones, better be ready. I think ready to go. And then looking at the Steelers' schedule ahead, they have 7 more games before their bye, which is the week of November 22nd. You have this Thursday night, home against the Ravens. Then you go to San Diego, home against a very good Arizona team that's proven to be a very good team already. At Arrowhead, home against the Raiders, home against Cleveland. When you look at especially those next 4 games, Baltimore, San Diego, Arizona, Kansas City, that's a tough road for anybody, but I mean, you're talking about now with a backup quarterback, different system, different game plan. It's going to be, I think, quite the challenge for them. I think it's now officially like Cincy's division to lose now between the Steelers with this, and then you got the Ravens are, struggling 0-3, and they really, the last 2 games they had it, but then they blew it, and, I think this is Cincinnati's now pretty comfortable now.
I think they're going to be okay. I mean, 5 of those 7 games are at home, and Pittsburgh's been known to be fairly comfortable at home. And like I said, I mean, Michael Vick is Michael Vick. The good thing about Michael Vick is that he can make something happen out of nothing. So even though, he might not know the playbook all that well, he's just been getting in there, he can make some broken plays into some phenomenal plays. We've seen him do it throughout his entire career. And I think the Steelers have a good enough defense to help out with that offense that might be struggling in the next couple of weeks. I don't think they're going to completely collapse because of this, but it's going to be more difficult than what it already was. Do I think that they're going to go undefeated in the stretch? Absolutely not. But I would be surprised if they go 500 or below in the stretch coming up here.
I mean, they're going to become very run-heavy. It's now Le'Veon came back this week from a suspension. A lot of attention is going to be on him. A lot of focus is on him and should be on him. Michael Vick can still get the ball out. I'm sure he'll hit Antonio Brown early and often in these games. But you know what? When you have a backup quarterback, regardless of who it is, we've seen it a couple times now. We saw it with Jimmy Clausen yesterday in Seattle. We saw it with Brandon Weeden yesterday. When you have a backup quarterback, you're going to be pretty run-heavy, and I wouldn't expect it to differ much.
Well, we'll get to Weeden a little bit later with the Cowboys, but Dallas is run heavy now without having Tony Romo, and I think I agree with you. They're going to start to see the Steelers run the ball a little bit more than they have. They have one of the best running backs in the league. The line isn't the best in the league, but they do have one of the best running backs, so we'll see what happens from moving on out for the Steelers.
All right, well, that's Big Ben out 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL sprain in his left knee, courtesy of Rams safety Mark Barron yesterday. Once again, that's the Steelers beating the Rams 12-6 in St. Louis. Moving on ahead now, let's talk about your weekend. You had a bit of fun out at SU as Syracuse had their real big game of the year. Since the schedule's been released, the game everybody's been talking about against these LSU Tigers.
Fun day at the Dome. It was an electric crowd, and I mean, there was a good portion of that crowd that was LSU fans. And I'd have to say about 38,000 there were Syracuse fans. It was fairly sold out. I mean, it was one of the loudest games I've ever gone to, period, NFL or college football. The energy was electric. This is not the same team that we saw last year at 3-9. They worked their butts off, and I really am liking what Scott Schaefer's doing. And to only lose by 10 to a top 10 team,
a team that just got that just demolished whatever they were ranked 18th Auburn last week.
Yep.
They just went and destroyed Auburn in Death Valley.
And for a team that's running a 5th-string quarterback, and you have all of these freshmen and sophomores who have never played against a top 10 team in the NCAA, you have to come out with it as a positive. That's the best I think you could have hoped for. And there wasn't a blowout at halftime. It was only 7-3. The offense was struggling a little bit for Syracuse, but they kind of picked up their way in the second half. Zach Mahoney was making some throws he probably should have had. He would like to retry. But overall for Syracuse, that's a huge smile for any Syracuse fan. And for me, the thing with this is is Syracuse did not move up in the power rankings for the ACC very much. I was a little surprised by that. They're still 12th in the ACC power rankings. The only thing that they could have done better was stopping Leonard Fournette a little bit better.
You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
You can't stop him. He would have had well over 340 yards had he not had that 87-yard run that was a touchdown taken back for I believe it was an illegal motion penalty. But overall, it's nothing but positives from Syracuse. Here's what Scott Schaefer had to say after the game in his post-game presser.
Disappointing loss. I'd just like to start off by saying, thanks to our community and our fans for coming out today. I really appreciated the support. Our players really appreciated the support. And, it was a lot of fun. It felt like a good college football opportunity for us to go out there and give them hell, and I thought the kids did. I liked the effort by our players. Too many big plays, and very good football team in LSU. So I felt like the effort was really good. I thought that our young quarterback, he started out in depth chart 15 this summer, and he really worked himself up. And first half, I think he was jittery. I'm sure he'll tell you the same.
So, basic reactions from Scott Schaefer. I felt the same way. Mahoney was a little jittery to start that game out. But what is your take on the game as far as Syracuse? Do you think Syracuse is a team that can go in and play against anyone in the country? Not anyone. Let's take away the number 1, 2, and 3. But Syracuse can hang with most teams in Division I football now.
It's certainly a confidence boost without more than anything. That's what this game does for them. The ACC still has a lot of good teams, though. When you look at Florida State and Clemson and a couple others in there, too, in the mix, do I think now it bolsters their chances of, going ahead and, could I see them now making a bowl game? Absolutely. But, I mean, you look at the 3 teams they played so far just based on strength of schedule, it's a little hard to judge, and I think that's the big thing that those people making the ACC rankings are looking at. So, for me, does it make me feel better as an Orange lover? Does it make me feel better at their chances for the rest of the way? Yes. Because it was much better than, like I said back on Friday, what we thought they were going to be. So, that all being said, we're sitting pretty almost right now, really. So,
huge positive for Syracuse. Huge positive moving forward. They would take on USF after their bye week this week on CBS Sportsnet, a 3:30 kickoff in 2 weeks.
All right. And moving along now, let's go into a little baseball this weekend. Big matchup in the National League Central as the Chicago Cubs hosted the Pirates, coming in for 3, trying to close that lead a little bit in the National League Central. Pittsburgh came out with some very nice performances Friday, Saturday. Jake Arrieta went long yesterday and pitched 7 dominant innings. So the Pirates end up taking 2 of 3, and of course Arrieta puts a little bad taste in their mouth to end it.
Dominant is an understatement for Jake Arrieta. I wasn't able to see it last night, but I was following on Twitter and on Facebook, and just from the looks of it, he is the best pitcher in the major leagues right now. And the Cubs are not dumb. They're going to rest him up, and they're going to use him in the wild card game.
Well, that's actually an interesting point. Do you go that route, or do you with John Lester and the postseason experience, do you kind of give a little bit of credit where credit's due with that? Now, personally, the safe route would be Arrieta, but if you're going on postseason success, not a lot of guys on the Cubs have had that, but John Lester, well and away, probably has the most.
Jake Arrieta is far and away the option they have to do for a wild card game. It's a one and done. You have to go with Arrieta in that game. Not only has Arrieta had the Pirates number this year, he's had the whole league's number this year. And it's not even like when you watch him on TV, you don't sit there and you go, wow, he is throwing the nastiest pitches I have ever seen in my life. He just goes about his business, and he's calm, cool, and collected, and he just gets the outs, and he doesn't panic when he gets into trouble. I mean, he rarely gets into trouble, but he doesn't panic when he gets into trouble. He is one of the most sound pitchers this season. He has a 1.82 ERA right now in the whole season, and it's under .45 since August 1st. That's incredible.
I mean, you look at, he's a big reason for why the Cubs have been so hot, especially since the All-Star break. I mean, they've clinched a playoff spot for the first time since, I believe, 2008. Is that correct?
2008.
2008. Yep. It's been a long time coming. I mean, a lot of people weren't expecting that. But you know what? You put the right people in the right places, good things are bound to happen. So right now in the National League Central, the Cardinals have a 3-game lead on the Pirates, and the Cubs are 4.5 back of the Pirates for that first wild card spot. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, lots of NFL matchups, lots of stuff to go run down, lots of exciting things went on this weekend, including could this possibly call in San Francisco for a quarterback change? Yeah, Colin Kaepernick, could he be out as starting quarterback of the Niners? That and more when we come back on the Jube Alert here on WNIA Radio.
Hey, this is Greg Jubert and Kyle Barker, and this is WNIA, Niagara University's Mix and More Radio.
Catch our show, The Jubiler, Mondays and Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and make sure to connect with us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's the Jubiler, Mondays and Fridays from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern on WNIA.
Hi, Kyle Barker here for The Jubiler. Be sure to connect with us on our Facebook and Twitter pages, or email the show at thejubiler@gmail.com. Missed the show? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jubiler, for inside access and replays for the show. That's The Jubiler, Mondays and Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m. on WNIA Radio, Niagara University's radio for Mix and More.
Welcome back to the Jubiler, live in the Gallagher Center basement here at NU. Here are your hosts, Greg Juber and Kyle Barker.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show. Kyle Barker here alongside with Greg Jubert.
All right, we're going to go right now. Let's kick it in for some NFL recaps presented by Carl in Seton 5. So, let's start off in Baltimore. The Ravens 0-2 hosting the hungry 2-0 Bengals in what proved to be another exciting AFC North showdown. Game that went very much back and forth the entire game, including C.J. Mosley with a fumble recovery after a sack, brought it 41 yards back to the house. Very next play from scrimmage, Andy Dalton hits A.J. Green for 80 yards for a score. Ravens tried coming back at the very end in the last couple minutes, ended up falling just short. Bengals win 28-24. Baltimore falls to 0-3. They play the Steelers on Thursday night.
New Orleans was searching for its first win of the season on Sunday as they went to Carolina and faced the Carolina Panthers. Panthers got the win 27-22. The Saints were desperately trying to get that last score at the end of the fourth quarter and could not do so with Luke McCown. Speaking of Luke McCown, he had a nice day, 31-38, 310 yards. He had no touchdowns on the day for the Saints. His opponent, Cam Newton, was 20 for 31, 315 yards. I like to say 315 touchdowns for yards, don't I?
That'd be nice.
That would be very nice. I keep screwing that up. But anyway, he was 20 for 31, 315 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Stewart for the Panthers was 14 carries, 52 yards, averaged 3.7 a carry.
And a big event occurred after the game. Cam Newton's press conference discussing a possible late hit on the quarterback. Newton went on to say that head ref Ed Hocoli was, quote, not old enough to be issued the late hit penalty, which Cam said he had no idea that there was a seniority deal about it. So the NFL is going to be looking into that now, whether or not, that's skewed in some fashion. Moving on ahead to Cleveland. Between Oakland and Cleveland yesterday, one team in a matchup of the NBA Finals, a little bit distant, but Oakland plays Cleveland yesterday. Josh McCown came back as starting quarterback over Johnny Manziel. Went 28 for 49 for 341 yards and 2 scores. But Oakland got the upper hand early. Derek Carr hitting, among others, Andre Holmes. What up, Holmes? And a couple other guys. Amari Cooper had 8 catches for 134 yards. And the Raiders ended up rolling all over the Browns by a score of 27-20. Also, Latavius Murray for the Raiders ran 26 carries for 139 yards and a score. Derek Carr, 20 for 32 for 314 and another 2 scores. So Oakland improves to 2-1. That's pretty impressive considering Oakland was started 0-10 last year, and really I think that a lot attests to Oakland's offense. The O-line's getting better, or was certainly like the focus last year. So you have the good O-line, you have a good young up-and-coming quarterback. So lots of good things happening in Oakland, snapping a 14-game East Coast streak.
Alrighty, now moving on to Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys fell apart in this one. They lose to the Atlanta Falcons 39-28. Dallas got all 28 of their first half, or their points in the first half, none in the second half. Atlanta storms back for 8 in the third and 14 in the fourth quarter. Joseph Randle had a nice day. He had 3 touchdowns with 87 yards on the ground. Brandon Weeden played pretty decently in his first game as the Cowboys starter. He was 22 for 26 with 232 yards. Bottom line of this game here is Dallas was not able to get it done on both sides of the ball, offense and defense in the second half. Matt Ryan and that impressive Atlanta offense cruises to a 3-0 record after a 39-28 win in Dallas.
Houston went back home this week at 0-2, trying to get their first win against Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Houston ended up controlling the game and won by a score of 19-9. Ryan Mallett, 24 for 39 for 228 and a score. Alfred Blue still filling in the void for Arian Foster, did it very nicely, 31 for 139 and a 20-yard touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 8 catches for 101 yards and that touchdown. Tampa Bay had a lot of struggles today yesterday from their kicker, for that matter. Kyle Brinza made a 58-yard field goal early in the second quarter, but then would go on to not only miss an extra point, but also 3 field goals in the second half. So Houston getting their first win of the season at home, really picking up their spirits there in a very unknown, unclear AFC South at this point.
On to Minnesota, the San Diego Chargers continue to struggle. They lose to the Vikings 31-14. Phillip Rivers struggled on the day. He was 21 for 34, 246 yards, touchdown and a pick. Teddy Bridgewater went 13 for 24, only 121 yards passing. Adrian Peterson had a great day. He had 20 carries, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. The main reason why the Minnesota Vikings won yesterday, Minnesota wins 31-14.
To Foxborough, where the Patriots did what the Patriots have and probably will still always do. They went and they smoked the Jaguars. New England built up a pretty good lead. They were up 20-3 at halftime, and Jacksonville was still staying in there. But then the Patriots just went off one by one. Tom Brady, another great day, 33 for 42, 358 yards and 2 TDs. Rob Gronkowski had 4 catches for 101 yards, including a very nice 43-yarder. In the beginning of the game, New England was all over Jacksonville, and Jacksonville was being a very young, inexperienced team for the most part. Just couldn't make some plays, and ended up coming back to bite them. So that's New England by a final of 51-17 in Foxborough. New England goes and plays Dallas next week.
Alrighty, in the Meadowlands, the Philadelphia Eagles got their first win of the year without DeMarco Murray. He was injured for this game. Eagles defeat the Jets 24-17. Jets tried to mount a comeback in the fourth quarter, but it was too little too late. Sam Bradford went 14 for 28, 118 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Ryan Fitzpatrick went 35 for 58, 283 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Here's what the Jets head coach Todd Bowles had to say after the loss.
There, the attentive lateral, did you speak to it all? What was...
He knows he can't make that play. We both know he can't make that play. He can't pitch the ball. He understands that. He knows that we can't have those type of plays during the game, Just can't do it.
This one was big.
So the Jets were sloppy yesterday in the first half, but tried to pick it up in the second half. But like I said, it was too little, too late in that game. Eagles get the first win of the season, 24-17.
To Tennessee, we go to an AFC South showdown as the Colts, looking for their first win, faced Marcus Mariota and the Titans. Indianapolis was okay at first. Then Tennessee went off for 28 unanswered points. But Indy came back and in Andrew Luck fashion, of course, in comeback form. Came back to take a 35-29 lead. 35-27 lead. Then Tennessee did get the touchdown, but then the fullback, Justin Fowler, on the 2-point conversion, got the handoff and just could not get in. So, in the end, Indianapolis was able to take a knee, get their first win of the year, breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief, Indianapolis beats the Titans 35-33. Andrew Luck, 18 for 30 for 260. Marcus Mariota, 27 for 44 for 367 and 2 touchdowns, including one to Kendall Wright, who had 7 catches for 95 yards.
Alrighty, in Arizona, the Cardinals blow out the 49ers 47-7. Carson Palmer threw for 311 yards, and Arizona returned Colin Kaepernick's first 4 passes for touchdowns, and the Cardinals romped the San Francisco 49ers, as I said. Larry Fitzgerald caught 9 passes for 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Chris Johnson rushed for 110 yards and 2 scores for the Cardinals. They are 3-0. It's the first time in the franchise has had 2 40-point victories in a row since 1969, and its largest margin of victory since a 44-0 win over Houston in 1970. Again, final score, Arizona 47, San Francisco 7.
Nice to see both of those guys. Chris Johnson, didn't even know if he would be able to play football, running all over yesterday, and Larry Fitzgerald. People have been saying since Kurt Warner left, is he going to ever get those reps back? Carson Palmer certainly doing his best to keep him afloat as a legitimate number 1. On to Miami we go, and boy, did the Bills put the MIA in Miami yesterday, as the Dolphins just could not get form. The Bills start off with 2 touchdown drives to start the game and ended up winning by a score of 41-14. Tyrod Taylor, 21 for 29, 277 yards, and 3 TDs. Carlos Williams, the big star for the Bills, 2 41-yard runs, including a score to seal on the final touchdown. 12 carries for those 110 yards for the record. And another big play in the game, down, I believe it was 17-3. Preston Brown yesterday with a very nice pick 6. Took it 43 yards to the house off Ryan Tannehill, who was just trying to throw it away. Bills end up coming away victorious, able to squish the fish. It was 17-0, my bad. 17-0 Bills when Preston Brown had that pick 6. So, from there, the Bills improved to 2-1. They host the Giants next week. Miami heads over to London to battle the Jets.
Seattle got its first win of the year last night, defeating the Chicago Bears 26-0. Tyler Lockett returned the second half kickoff for 105 yards for a touchdown. Russell Wilson connected with Jimmy Graham on a 30-yard touchdown, and the Seahawks routed the undermanned Chicago Bears 26-0. Seattle led just 6-0 at half, but an offensive performance in the second half allowed them to get the victory. Here is what Pete Carroll had to say after the victory.
He had a hard time getting loose today, and so we left him in to keep getting ready. And he has a sequence that he goes through to get ready to go. And it's happened before, where he just can't get in rhythm and get right and all that. And so he had a calf during the week, and his hamstring kind of bothered him a little bit here today. And so he just couldn't get ready. He tried to get out there and did a little bit of running and all, but couldn't answer it in the second half.
And that was Pete Carroll talking about the running back. Marshawn Lynch was not able to go yesterday, but nevertheless, Seattle gets the W 26-0.
And finally on NBC in the Sunday night showdown, Detroit, looking for its first win of the year, hosted the 2-0 Broncos, and Peyton Manning looked a little more into form than he has the first 2 weeks. Went 31 for 42 for 324 yards and 2 scores, including one to Demaryius Thomas, who had 9 catches and 92 yards on the day, including a very nice pass with 5 seconds to go in the second quarter, right before halftime, to build up a bit of a lead. Detroit, Calvin Johnson, 8 catches, 77 yards. Matthew Stafford, 31 for 45, 282, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Detroit falls to 0-3. Denver is up to 3-0. So that's our roundup of all the excitement of yesterday's games. When we come back, a couple more NFL notes, including injuries and DeMarco Murray, is he really helping or hurting the Eagles' offense as of right now, based on what we saw yesterday? That's when we come back here on the Jubiler, presented here on WNIA, Niagara University's Mix and More Radio.
Hey, this is Jetfish. I'm just bringing you guys some news about the Jubiler. It will be on Mondays 1 to 2 p.m. and Fridays 1 to 2 p.m. These guys are pretty cool, and they'll be talking about sports or what's trending, and there'll be a lot of exciting stuff, so check them out.
Hey, this is Greg Jubert and Kyle Barker, and this is WNIA, Niagara University's Mix and More Radio.
Catch our show, The Jubiler, Mondays and Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and make sure to connect with us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's the Jubiler, Mondays and Fridays from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern on WNIA.
Welcome back to the Jubiler, live in the Gallagher Center basement here at NU. Here are your hosts, Greg Jube and Kyle Barker.
All right, here we are just at about the bottom of the hour here on WNIA alongside Kyle Barker. I am Greg Jube here for the Jubiler, talking NFL, all the excitement and the recaps of yesterday's games. And we'll look ahead later on to Monday Night Football as the Chiefs host the Packers. But a couple more notes to look at. We certainly talked about Ben Roethlisberger's injury at the beginning of the show. A couple other big injuries occurred yesterday. Marshawn Lynch, who was already questionable to play against the Bears, left with a hamstring injury and did not return. So Fred Jackson got a lot of reps, among others. So that's something to certainly watch for Seattle. They host Detroit on Monday Night Football next week. Sammy Watkins had a very nice 39-yard catch against the Dolphins yesterday, but ended up being taken back to the locker room and did not finish the game with an injured calf. He is currently being listed as day-to-day. It was pretty bad for the 49ers yesterday, but the pain just kept getting worse and worse. Tight end Vernon Davis suffered a knee injury, missed most of the second half. Didn't need much testing, didn't prove to be too serious. So those are some of the big injuries that occurred yesterday. Look out for more of those. In other news, Victor Cruz is expected to go for the Giants in Week 4 against the Bills. So that's certainly something good for them to be back. It's been about a year. Certainly having a nice compliment to Odell Beckham Jr. really helps the Giants, I think, certainly with Eli substantially moving forward. Let's move on to something else, though. Let's actually keep it in the NFC East, though. We talked about it earlier. Big game yesterday. Eagles in New York against the Jets. Eagles running backs did phenomenal. Darren Sproles, Ryan Matthews, albeit, Matthews did have a fumble that nearly caused the Jets to come really close and back into it. But the Eagles played phenomenally yesterday. Darren Sproles had a punt return. Sam Bradford had a nice dump-out pass that was caught out by Ryan Matthews. That was a 23-yard touchdown. Ryan Matthews ended up running 25 for 108 yesterday. And then Darren Sproles did what Darren Sproles does with the punt game and adding that extra element. So DeMarco Murray has really struggled this year. He actually ended up being out yesterday with his hamstring injury. So a lot of talk came up yesterday with Ryan Matthews doing what Ryan Matthews did, which is a lot of, I think, what people were expecting of him when he came out as a rookie to replace LT. Do the Eagles really need DeMarco? And I think, it's 3 weeks in to this contract and everything, okay? 3 weeks. DeMarco Murray wasn't even supposed to be there. It was supposed to be Frank Gore, but Frank Gore basically had a panic attack one night and ended up jumping to the Colts. So, is DeMarco really a viable option for them moving forward? I think he's a nice compliment, but, he proved to be more of a liability than an asset the first 2 games. And then you saw yesterday, the Eagles' offense just seemed to explode almost. Maybe not from Sam Bradford's arm, but you know what? They played very formidable, very strong yesterday.
It is only 3 weeks in, and, DeMarco Murray is not the worst running back in this league. He's definitely not the best. Yeah, I think he was a little overrated with the Cowboys, but I think you just need to give it a little time if you're an Eagles fan. Obviously, there's a lot of big panic with him right now. He only has 11 yards rushing on the season, and we are going into the 4th week here. 11 yards. That's pretty bad.
It's not good.
It's not good. And the thing is Chip Kelly, you have to remember, Chip Kelly's offense is way different than probably any other coaches in the NFL. And they have him locked up for this 5-year contract for $42 million, 18 guaranteed. You just have to wait it out, I feel like. He's been put into such a different place than where he was in Dallas. And personally for me, I will never understand why he went there, but that's the past. You have to look at it. He's there now, and you're just going to have to give it time. Do I think it's a mistake signing him? I don't want to say it's a mistake yet, but we're going to find out. It's going to take the whole season to find out if it was a mistake or not. But right now, I don't think you can panic. Just got to let it play out.
Let alone if Philly does well enough, because the NFC East is so wide open. You have Dallas at 2-1, and you have 3 teams at 1-2. You know, it could be anybody now with Romo and Dez out. It could be. I'm not saying it will, because Dallas still has a very formidable team, and Philly and the Giants both have nice assets. So, I mean, if the Eagles go 9-7 or whatever and find a way to win this division, you know, that overlooks, I think, a lot of what DeMarco does if he keeps continuing to perform at this level, which I don't think he will. He'll have his chances. He just needs to relax, find some holes, and really break out. So it won't be every game, you know, he'll get, you know, single-digit yards or anything like that. But, you know, winning helps, you know, lose your problems kind of like that.
You just got to be patient. That's all you can do with DeMarco at this point is be patient with him. It's not every game is going to be as bad as what he's had the first 2 games he's played in. He's going to have a game where he's going to break open, and he's a good running back. I mean, 11 yards is not DeMarco Murray numbers at all. He has to be sitting there beyond frustrated with not only himself, but like what's going on around him in Philadelphia. It's real interesting to see what's happening with DeMarco Murray. And I like I said, I'll say it over and over again. You just got to give him some time. Patience. I know Philadelphia doesn't have much patience, but you just have to wait it out on this one.
I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think Philly, again, right there in the mix. NFC East, pretty wide open now, and it's for the taking. I mean, Dallas is going to play New England next week. I don't think Brandon Whedon's going to outduel and outmatch Tom Brady at the rate he's going. I just don't see it. So, you know, I'm pretty sure I speak for a lot of people when I say that. That all being said, you know, we'll see how interesting it is when, you know, DeMarco comes in the mix, how they share the reps going across. But in the meantime, Eagles right now, looking ahead to next week, and we will too at some point. So, moving on to another story, let's talk about some 0-3 teams. Let's talk about two big 0-3 teams that were playoff teams last year. Both of them were 6 seeds. You look at Baltimore and you look at Detroit, are both 0-3. Now, before Big Ben got hurt, you could say, oh, there's a good chance that Baltimore ends up going 0-4. Now it's not looking as bad. I think they have a very good chance to go all over the Steelers next week. And then you look at Detroit has to go to Seattle on Monday night next week. That's not easy for anyone, period. So you're looking at a team like Detroit who has pieces. Maybe it's now they're missing Nick Fairley and Ndamukong Suh in the middle because Haloti Ngata is kind of just a one-dimensional player. He's not one to really grab the quarterback. He's just a run and golfer more than anything. I mean, you look at Seattle's schedule. It's not or Detroit's schedule. It's not pretty because then they have to go home against Arizona, and they got a couple other big games at Arrowhead, at Green Bay. You got the Vikings again in Detroit, who have been very nice. We saw yesterday. I mean, they took that game out of Phillip Rivers' hands and said, this is our home turf. Minnesota, I think, is, with Adrian Peterson back, a much more formidable team. Just give me your thoughts on that. I mean, Detroit, a team last year who had all the pieces working and may or may not have been one iffy call away from facing Green Bay in the divisional round. You're smirking, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the same thing. Mm-hmm.
Completely innocent. And Dez caught it. But no, I understand. I'm not going to say that I'm not surprised they're 3-0. I was expecting them to be a little bit better, but I'm not surprised that they're, not 3-0, 0-3. I'm just not surprised. I mean, they have Calvin Johnson, but they haven't been using him. They've been running the ball, and just not much has been making sense in Detroit. And they just, I mean, it's not like they play so bad that they're going to get blown out of all these games. They should have one win. They completely choked in week 1 and got demolished against the Vikings in week 2. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm not surprised. I don't think either of us are that surprised they're 0-3.
No.
But, I was expecting them to be at least 500. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough they're a weird team. They are a very weird team to analyze and track. And we're just going to have to wait and see, about the Detroit Lions. I mean, they just got to figure it out at some point. And I think they will figure it out, but I think starting 0-3 might be a little bit too big of a hole for them to climb out of.
I really do, too. I think in a division that includes Green Bay and a much stronger Minnesota team that was already, 7-9 last year was pretty nice. I just don't see it for Detroit clicking this year. 0-3 really is too big of a gap to try to fill up, especially in a very tight NFC crowd. So, I mean, you look at Reggie Bush, they let go with a lot of faith in Joik Bell and this kid Abdullah. And, neither one of them did great yesterday. I mean, Joik Bell had 10 carries for 6 yards. That's really iffy. I mean, Denver's defense, for that matter, has played great to this point. It really has. Just looking at the numbers, Denver has the number 1 defense in the league, including against the pass. But it's just on the full for Detroit right now. So,
and Detroit is 27th in both total offense and total defense. 27th. Being 27th in both of those categories equals an 0-3 start on paper. So I can't say I'm not surprised.
We'll see how that goes, certainly. Let's go to one more story before the break for us to talk about. Seattle yesterday got off to a very slow start. I believe it was 6-0 for the longest time. It was 6-0 at halftime against a Bears team without Jay Cutler, without Alshon Jeffrey, without a couple other big pieces. And the Seahawks came out yesterday. You would think Cam Chancellor's back, spirits are raised, 12th man's going to be a little louder even though we're 0-2, but knowing that Cam's back today is going to be a big deal. It wasn't for 26-0, it did not feel like the blowout that it could or would, for that matter, be. I mean, you look at, yes, Jimmy Clausen only threw 63 yards, and, Matt Forte was like the biggest playmaker, 20 carries for 74. But Cam Chancellor only had 1 tackle yesterday. For rushing, they did get 100 yards plus out of Thomas Ross. So that was nice, seeing that 104 yards out of him. But Seattle doesn't jump out and say, we scare people yet.
No. And like I said about Cam Chancellor, one person does not make your football team that much better. And the only positions that really, if you had to pick a position where you could say, all right, this one player makes your team better, it's something on offense. Nothing really in the secondary of any position in the secondary makes you jump out and go, wow, we are so much better now on the defensive side of the ball. And it's nice that they got the win. They only played Chicago. It's going to be interesting. Seattle has the pieces to be a good team. And Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. You have those running backs there. They have a team that is beyond capable of being good. Now, they have the 0-3 Lions next week at home, and then they're at the Bengals. So I'm guessing they're going to get a win next week against the Lions. And then that Bengals-Seahawks game is going to be a really good game to watch.
Cincinnati, you want to say that you have high hopes for Cincinnati. You really do. Especially with a 25-year drought. And you look at the last 4 years, twice in Houston, once at home against the Chargers, and then again last year in Indy. It's just playoff time. It just doesn't mesh well at all, and I don't understand what it is. If it's pressure, if it's trying to do too much of the right thing, or what. But Cincinnati's right there, and they are, and they have been every year. You have a formidable defense. I don't know how many times I said formidable today. Probably should have looked that up. You have Geno Atkins. You have Carlos Dunlap. You have a couple nice corners, Leon Hall. You have Pac-Man still. You have the run game between Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard. You have A.J. Green. You have Marvin Jones. You have Mohamed Sanu. You have all the pieces. Tyler Eifert. It's all set up right there for a run. And then it just doesn't happen. And I don't understand why, because Cincinnati can do it. I just don't know if they will.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and find out and see what happens with the Cincinnati Bengals. You're right. They're a capable team of doing it, but it's all going to come down to seeing what happens. All right, on the Jube, when we come back, we're going to preview some Monday Night Football with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers, and we're going to wrap up our day with 3 things we're looking forward to the week and some page 2s. You're listening to the Jube on WNIA Radio.
Missed the show? Don't worry. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jube for the inside access with Greg and Kyle. That's the Jube Mondays and Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m. on WNIA Radio, Niagara University's radio for mix and more. Welcome back to the Jube live in the Gallagher Center basement here at NU. Here are your hosts, Greg Jube and Kyle Barker.
All right, everybody. We are back here for wrapping things up in a little bit. We're going to go to some page 2s now. Our first airing's of page 2, so Kyle's going to take it away, finding some nice little tidbits for us to discuss.
All right, so basically page 2s, this is a new segment we're going to try to start and see what happens here. It's basically all the things you'll find in the back of the sports pages, the stuff that we don't touch on for very long, and it's just stuff that we like to tell you guys about, the listeners, and just a little tidbits of information. So we'll start out here. Yesterday in Miami, Brent Grimes' wife, Miko Grimes, was arrested after the game yesterday for disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. Reportedly went into a rage and headbutted a police officer. Kind of a crazy situation going on down in the Miami parking lots outside of Sun Life Stadium. Moving on, the Cleveland Cavaliers have failed to reach an agreement on a contract with Tristan Thompson. He is expected to miss media day and the opening practices, and he is also subject to fines for missing since he is not under contract for both of those events. Moving on, Tony Stewart has announced that he plans to retire after the 2016 season. He will hand over the number 14 card to Clint Boyer in 2017. Stewart is coming off one of his worst seasons. Actually, no, it is his worst season as a NASCAR driver. He finished 25th in points this season. On to Washington now. Bryce Harper and the Washington Nationals got into a little bit of a fight yesterday. Bryce Harper and Jonathan Papelbon got into a fight in the dugout. Harper flied out to right, and then Papelbon was gesturing, talking to Bryce Harper back on his way into the dugout. Jonathan Papelbon went and grabbed Bryce Harper. The team had to break it up. No word yet on how that happened. Moving on now to golf. Jordan Spieth finishes his phenomenal season by winning the Tour Championship. This is also clinching the FedEx Cup for him. He is golf's first $22 million man. He won $12 million in prizes this year, and he also got a $10 million bonus for winning the FedEx Cup. Moving on to hockey, the Chicago Blackhawks have locked up defenseman Brett Seabrook with an 8-year contract extension worth $55 million. That's $6.85 million a year. He has been a member of the 2010, 13, and 15 championship teams. Moving on now, the New York Mets have won the NL East for the first time since 2006. And also, we touched on it a little bit earlier, the Cubs are in the postseason for the first time since 2008. And last but not least, the New York Yankees got their 999th win last night. They go for win number 10,000 as a franchise against the Boston Red Sox tonight. And that is their page 2s here on the Jube. Greg?
Boy, that Papelbon thing was ugly yesterday. And it was a matter of Papelbon's yelling at him, run it out. And Bryce Harper's like, I'm me. I'm Bryce Harper. I can do what I want. You have no right. I'm the face of the franchise. And Jonathan Papelbon did what Jonathan Papelbon does, ran his mouth a little bit, and then grabbed him basically by the throat. So just another example of the turmoil in Washington right now. I mean, you look at one anonymous national player said that in terms for Matt Williams that it's just not a fun environment. Everybody knows it's bad. There's nothing to pick us up. The Mets came by and the Mets went right past them in first. I mean, they're not as bad as Philly or Miami or Atlanta because all those are just not good. But it's been a struggle this year to this point. You bring in Max Scherzer, who's pitched pretty well. And a lot of it's been injuries, really. I mean, Denard Span, Ryan Zimmerman, Jason Worth. I mean, pieces left and right just haven't been all there together, and now it's a little too late. So the Nationals lost, the Mets clinching the East and the Cubs clinching the second playoff card spot means that they will not be in the hunt for October this year. So,
how ironic is it that the New York Yankees are going for their 10,000th franchise victory against the Boston Red Sox? What perfect irony is that?
I mean, it's fitting. It's a storybook fitting right there that the Yankees and the Red Sox are going out and, I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, yes, Boston struggled this year, although they've been playing a little better since John Farrell's diagnosis of Hodgkin's lymphoma. But, I mean, it's a big deal because it is just the name Yankees Red Sox gets people a little giddy. People love that rivalry, even if it's not what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's just not what it was, but it's still Yankees Red Sox nonetheless, and the Yankees are still in the hunt, so there will be a lot of people tonight, I'm sure. Obviously, it is not the Monday night game on the 4-letter, because the Cardinals have a big series in Pittsburgh starting tonight, as the Pirates really need to try to get this series done, because with the season winding down, this is like the final push. Pirates really need a sweep, and then that would get them to even with the Cardinals for the division. J.A. Happ pitches for the Pirates, Lance Lynn for the Cardinals. That game at 7:05, once again on the 4-letter network. So we're going to take one quick timeout. When we come back, we'll do one little trivia bit that Kyle just dug up, and 3 things we're looking forward to this weekend. Once again, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and if you miss any show, you can contact us on or go out to our YouTube page. Just type in Jube Alert. It'll be right there with the blue and red logo. When we come back, all that final good stuff as we wrap things up here on the Jube Alert on WNIA Radio, Niagara University's Mix.
Hey, this is Greg Jubert and Kyle Barker, and this is WNIA, Niagara University's Mix and More Radio.
Catch our show, The Jube Alert, Mondays and Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and make sure to connect with us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's the Jube Alert, Mondays and Fridays from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern on WNIA.
Welcome back to the Jube Alert, live in the Gallagher Center basement here at NU. Here are your hosts, Greg Jubert and Kyle Barker.
All right. Well, we got some breaking news here that just came in the past few minutes. Big time news about what we just finished up on the page 2s. The Nationals have suspended Jonathan Papelbon for the rest of the season following his brawl yesterday in the dugout with Bryce Harper. On top of that, Papelbon accepted the 3-game MLB suspension that they just handed down also. So that is, Jonathan Papelbon, a guy who was a formidable there's that word again. Jonathan Papelbon, a solid all-star this year with the Phils. Came in, tried to work a little magic, may have made the bullpen a little more discombobulated. Talking about, Drew Storen and the bullpen and everything, and just not the season Washington wanted at all. So a little disappointing, but Jonathan Papelbon can only do so much. You remember last year he had the incident with the ref going and scratching a spot below the belt at an ump, and things got a little iffy with that. So we're gonna go. Kyle's got a little bit of trivia, I guess, for me. So I get to try to figure this out.
I do have a little bit of trivia for you, Greg, as we're going to get our favorite little theme song going on here. Are you ready for the challenge, Greg?
Yes, I am.
Alrighty. So the question I have for you today is, the first college football game was played in 1869. Who were the 2 teams that played in that game?
Really? You're picking a stat from a time in which nobody else in the world was alive for.
You have to know at least one of them.
Are they Ivies?
One team is an Ivy, and the other is currently a Big East team, I believe.
Okay. Wow. All right, I'm going to say for the Ivy, I'm going to say Yale. All right. And Big East, I'm going to say St. John's.
Incorrect on both of them. The first ever...
Oh, well, I tried.
The first ever college football game was played between Princeton and Rutgers.
Okay, that makes sense. Princeton, Rutgers.
Okay. Princeton and Rutgers. So
go
ahead. We're going to have Ken the Hawk Harrison put it on the board for us.
You can put it on the board.
I should have known Rutgers. I can't believe I missed that one thinking about it now. But you know what? That's fine. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about 3 things we're excited for heading into Friday's show. First of all, let's actually start off. This is the thing that both of us are excited for, I guess. Monday Night Football tonight. Early Super Bowl matchup of one of the first games as the Chiefs battle the Packers. Eddie Lacy, a little banged up. But you know what? Green Bay still has Aaron Rodgers, and because they do have Aaron Rodgers, they'll be okay. Eddie Lacy and Devontae Adams have been upgraded to probable, while Morgan Burnett is listed as out. You know what? I think that just last week the Chiefs had it in the bag, and then Jamal Charles literally let it go. So I think the Chiefs will stay with it. I really do. But you know what? I just don't see the Chiefs giving them the run with Alex Smith as, Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see it.
I'm going to pick the Packers tonight. I think the Chiefs are just a little outmatched at each and every position by the Packers. The Packers are a very solid and strong team. And we're going to see what happens. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Alex Smith is a very, as Greg would like to say, formidable quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But I just going to have to go with Green Bay on the game tonight. I'm actually going to predict the score tonight. You ready for this?
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to predict that Green Bay gets the win 24-17.
All right, I'm gonna say I think Kansas City gets a 2-point conversion. I'm gonna say the Packers double them. I'm gonna say 30-15.
30-15.
I think Kansas City gets a touchdown and an extra point, and then near the end of the game they get another touchdown and they go for 2 instead and they get it. So 30-15 on the 4-letter network tonight. I just don't see how Green Bay could lose this game really. But you know what? Anything can happen. Any given Monday night. So let's talk about a couple other things we're looking forward to this weekend. I'll start off quick. This Cardinals-Pirates series, big deal in the National League. Looks like St. Louis has it wrapped up. This is Pittsburgh's last shot, really. I mean, you have Lynn and Happ, like we said earlier tonight. Michael Wacha faces Charlie Morton tomorrow. And then Wednesday, big matchup. Lance Lynn comes back. He will go against the Coltrane of Garrett Cole, who very nicely shut down the Cubs this weekend. You're welcome. And then finally, Thursday Night Football, got the Ravens and the Steelers. I just think Justin Forsett's going to have a big game. Ravens will get back on track, certainly. I think the Ravens are just too good to go 0-4, even in Pittsburgh. I mean, they proved last year in playoffs that they can do it. I think on a Thursday night, new quarterback, new offensive system trying to run around, young defense, it's just not in the cards for the Steelers. So I got the Ravens. I don't think it's going to be an offensive explosion because that's just not how Thursday nights work usually. But you know what? I'm going to say the Ravens win 22-12. That's my vote. Ravens 22, Steelers 12.
I'm going to pick the Steelers in a barn burner, 9-6.
Wow. Are we talking all field goals here or a TD and a 2-pointer?
Whatever you want it to be. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring.
9-6.
9-6.
You actually are predicting a game that will not get into double digits.
Yep. I don't.
In today's NFL.
Because why not? Baltimore.
Wow.
Baltimore has struggled, and hey, you even said it. Thursday Night Football is not an offensive powerhouse. Yes, yet far, in this season. I don't know. I like the 9-6 score. I think that's what we're going to see going on for Thursday Night Football here.
Well then, so okay, 9-6 according to Kyle. That just happened. Wow, if that actually happens Friday, boy, are we gonna have a lot to talk about. So, yeah. Any other final thoughts heading into before Friday?
My final thought is I'm gonna finally be able to listen to some more hockey. Hockey is coming very close and it's starting very soon. I'm very happy for that. Also for college basketball to be starting up very soon, and you know I'm very excited for college basketball. And I'm only excited for college basketball for one reason. I'm excited because of Bill Raftery. What a man. Yes, onions. Onions. I cannot wait to watch college basketball. We are only about 18 days away from opening Midnight Madnesses in college basketball. So very excited to have that start up. And we'll see hopefully how my Cuse can do this year. But that's what I'm looking forward to is the press leading up to the opening of the season.
All right, so we will be on Friday again from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern with a recap of the Ravens and the Steelers. Hopefully it's more exciting than a bunch of field goals, Kyle. And then we'll get all the Sunday action, all the fun activities we got going on. For the weekend, I know I will be at Ralph Wilson Stadium when the Bills battle the Giants. Always remember, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. If you miss any part or any at all of our shows, just type in Jube Alert on YouTube. Once again, for Kyle Barker, I am Greg Jube. This is the Jube Alert on WNIA, Niagara University's Mix and More Radio. Have a good day, everybody.
I'm chasing sleep. Everybody's worried about me. In too deep. Say I'm in too deep. And it's been 2 years. I miss my home, but there's a